Hey everybody, it's Mike again. I am going to do a response to a video that I was tagged in. I was very excited because I've never actually been personally tagged in a video that I know of. So if any of you have tagged me in the past and I just have been completely oblivious to it, let me know. But this is from my friend Jennifer and her son Christian over at Jen's Review from the Graves. They did a cool little video about their favorite comedians. As much as I don't like comedic horror, I do love comedians. Stand-up comedians have been like some of my favorite things for as long as I can remember. And truthfully, it goes back to the Johnny Carson show way back. Um, and I fell in love with some of the comedians on that show, David Brenner, Joan Rivers. There was it's actually, I think, where I first saw Judy Tenuta and Ellen DeGeneres and quite a few of them. So for me, my comedy is much like everything else in my life. It kind of depends on what mood I'm in. Um, I want to, before I tell you actually who my favorites are, I also just want to basically say that there's always going to be people that I leave off of my list. So I'm just kind of doing the ones that I either really like right now or some that mean a lot to me for various reasons. But I want to tell you straight out, Eddie Murphy, um, Sam Kinison, uh, Richard Pryor, and they're at the top of my list always. Okay, so I've always loved them. I actually saw who was it? Was it Sam Kinison? I can't remember. I saw I saw one. Oh, George Carlin, but he's actually on my list. I actually saw George Carlin in St. Louis, and he was amazing. So, um, but so if I'm in a loud mood, if I want something outrageous and loud and vulgar, then I turn towards Kinison because he is just, oh my god, he's so outrageously funny. And the things that he talks about and says, I love him. Same with Bobcat Goldthwait, I love him. Of course, Eddie Murphy, Raw was one of my very favorites at one time. As far as loud and vulgar, we would have to throw in Lisa Lampanelli. Oh my God, if you have not heard her, she is hysterical. She just says stuff that you would not believe. And the people love her. I mean, she talks about gays, she talks about blacks, she talks about Asian people. And it's not politically correct at all. She straight up, yeah, she just uses words that, the rest of us couldn't get away with. But yeah, she's hysterical and she is raunchy. And the little dude who did the voice of the Aflac duck, Gilbert Gottfried, oh my God, he is the nastiest. Whew, Lord have mercy. Then if I'm in the mood for something kind of goofy with props, then I'll watch Gallagher or Carrot Top. He cracks me up. I may see him when I go to Vegas because he's actually at the hotel we're staying at. So I enjoy him. I like Dane Cook once in a while. There are several. But my favorites, I have a little list of those. And I'm going to give some shout outs to some that are not in my actual top 10. They did a top 10. It would be almost impossible for me to do 10. So I'm just going to do a little shout out to some that I have not already mentioned. Sorry about that. I'm trying to keep my stuff all together here. All right, so I love Gabriel Iglesias. These are like honorable mentions. He calls himself Fluffy. He was just here in Savannah. I went and saw him. He is hysterical, and he's pretty clean. He's not vulgar. If he does talk a little bit about sex or whatever, it's not graphic. So you could actually be okay with taking your kids to see him. He's really good. There's also another girl. Her name is Angela Johnson. She is so funny. She talks like she's American. And she talks about the fact that she can't speak Spanish. but she is so funny, and she talks about being married and buying a house and all the craziness. I love her. Sebastian Maniscalco, I don't know, he's hysterical. He's so Italian. You just spend most of your time laughing. I also love Stephen Wright. He's very monotone. His jokes all talk like this. I told her I loved her, but I was wrong. He's just so funny. Yeah, and he'll kind of nonsensical. He'll do like these talks about sitting on top of the um, planetarium and having the stars above them and below them, and they were like a happy sandwich. Just silly stuff. Trey Crowder is a new one. He's part of the call them themselves. Is it the Southern Liberals? I can't. It's Redneck Liberals is what he's a part of that little group. He is so funny and so straight up. Yeah, I love him. Joe Coy is so funny. He talks about his mother, his I don't know where they're from. If they're Philippine, he talks about it in his comedy, but he is hysterical. Right now, he's talking about his son is now old enough to masturbate. So, yeah, he talks about that. Lewis Black is another one. He would probably go on my loud and obnoxious. He's not real vulgar necessarily, but he is angry. He is funny. I love him, and he was actually on Big Bang Theory as a professor once. But really funny. Another one that would probably go on my vulgar list, really probably should have been there, would be Cat Williams. Yeah, he cusses nonstop, but oh my God, he's so funny. Uh, One of the more gentler comedians, even though he's kind of in that David, or what's his name? I can't remember. But this guy's name is Dimitri Martin. He's very funny, very quick, and observant about the world around you. So he'll say things that you're just like, oh my God, that's so funny. I was just thinking that. I love Margaret Cho. Oh, she's hysterical and nasty. She can be. Another really funny guy, kind of along the lines of Joe Coy, is Orny Adams. That's not his real name. He's got some kind of funky name, but he's brutally funny. I love him. Number 13 of my honor, or in my list, would be Mitch Hedberg. He died of a drug overdose a few years back, but he's just like one of those fast comedians where he just shoots you out these jokes, and it's just it's real. So like he'll talk about um, going to a deli in New York and ordering a sandwich with he says it's like having half a cow on a cracker. And he'll order the sandwich, and they'll say, do you want anything else? And he would say, yeah, a loaf of bread and 3 people to help me eat it. So I love him. It's really a shame that he passed away. Damn drugs. One of my current favorites, and he's quickly climbing my chart, is Nate Bargatze. He's a little guy from Tennessee. He is so dry in his delivery, but he is hysterical. He talks about anything, like he's really kind of paranoid about things. So like he'll go into Starbucks, and he did this little joke about going to Starbucks and ordering a coffee with cream, and how our coffee with milk, and how he did that twice at 2 different Starbucks, and they just gave him a glass of milk. And so he was like getting paranoid. He's like, okay, you guys, this is a conspiracy. And he talks about redneck family, and he's just very, very funny, very pretty decent looking guy. I like, he talks about his wife some, and yeah, just a lot of fun. Probably one of my all-time favorites that probably could be in this top 10, and I don't know, I went back and forth, is Christopher Titus. Oh my God, he is... he went through so much in his life with his crazy family that it's a wonder that he's still alive. But he is just so brutally honest and hysterical about the crap that he has put up with and the crap he's gone through. Just making fun of his alcoholic dad and driving drunk and, being in a car full of smoke. He's just really, really funny. Um, but he's kind of an angry funny, sort of like Lewis Black is hysterical, and he's very on it with the world around him. And he'll come right out and say whatever it is you wish you could say. And that's the same with Christopher Titus. He is just a trip. All right, so finally my top 10. I love Patton Oswalt. He was in King of Queens. He's done a lot, actually, acting-wise. I didn't realize how much he had done. But he's another one of those guys who, he just talks about everyday life stuff. And his wife died not too long ago, few years back, so he's been raising his daughter on his own, and so he'll talk about, that. He started talking about his wife's death recently. It was a very sudden, unexpected thing. But he personally is just hysterical. Stuff he observes, and the things that he talks about, some of the things that he's gone through with his career, really, really hysterical. All right, number 9. I know Jen and Christian both said they don't like female comedians that much. I love them. They are probably some of my favorites, so I've already mentioned a couple. But Kathleen Madigan, oh my God, she's so funny. She's from Missouri, and she talks a lot about her family and stuff that she's done while she's on tour, and things that she's seen, things that people say to her. This one thing, somebody asked her about what side of the war was. She was down in the South. What side of the war was that? She was on the wrong side of the Civil War, and she said, "No, sir, I don't think so. We're from Missouri. I don't even think we were in the war. I think we just fought with each other. We didn't even have to leave the state." Which is, if you know Missouri, that's kind of true. So you have St. Louis, and you have Kansas City, and then you have a couple other metropolitan areas that may be kind of liberal, and then you have the rest of the state that's redneck and crazy and passing stupid laws. So yeah, love her. She's so dry, and she's not shy about talking about the fact that she's Irish and she drinks and her family drinks, and she has hysterical stories about her parents. Love it. Her mom carries around this little bag of pills. Her mom calls it happy hour or something like that, and anytime Kathleen's not feeling quite right, her mom pulls something out of that bag. Which sometimes is not a good thing. The next woman I'm going to talk about is Wanda Sykes. Margaret Cho did a routine about a woman named Gwen who came in to shave her vagina. I literally had to pull my car over and laugh because it was just so hysterical. "My name is Gwen, and I'm here to clean your vagina." Wanda Sykes is another one. She talked about the story about how she wished she could just put her vagina in a box and put it up on the shelf when she goes out, so she didn't have to worry about the men. And then she came home and her boyfriend found the box and invited his friends over, so her vagina was all beat up. And I just lost it. But I love her in general because she's just so straight up funny. Woo. All right, next is Louis Anderson. I have always loved Louis Anderson for as long as I can remember. I actually have some of his stuff on VHS. He's like, in a way, he's kind of like me. We've always been heavy. We've always, dealt with that. So he'll talk a lot about his health or silly things that go on because he's fat, or running into people that say things to him or do things. His doctor. I mean, he's just straight up funny, and sweet. I mean, he's a kind, upbeat kind of comedian, and he's gone through a lot of crap. Bless his heart. All right, another one of my very favorite comedians. This would be number 6, and he unfortunately has passed away too, and that is John Pinette. John Pinette was a really big guy. We're talking maybe 400 pounds. Or way up in the 3. We're talking big. And a lot of his comedy dealt with that, with the terrible things his family would do to him, taking him to a water slide park where he had to climb, and he, you know, yeah, just really funny climbing these hills and then getting stuck in the tube. And truly, I had a friend that happened to back when water slides were just starting to get big, uh, way back in the 80s. This friend of mine, she was really, really, really heavy. And she went down this, I had no desire to do it, but she went down this slide that had a tunnel. She got stuck in the tunnel. All of a sudden, you hear this screeching noise, and then the water stopped, and then the kids that went behind her didn't come out. Oh my God. And he does something about, how they had to shoot compressed air through there to get him out. Hysterical. And also, he does this thing about buffets, the Chinese buffets and the Japanese buffets. Oh, you get out. Um, Fat boy is what, big boy, that's what that they call him. And then he does one about there used to be a buffet in um, Las Vegas at the MGM Grand called the Wizard of Oz buffet. Does a hysterical bit about that. You can find a lot of these people on YouTube, but I suggest that you check out John Panette. Towards the end of his life, he was kind of getting himself together. He'd lost a lot of weight. He was going to the gym often. Um, yeah, he also does this skit about being in England, and the fact that they don't really serve breakfast in England. That pretty much it's coffee, and they gave him beans. Too funny. All right, number 5 for me is a somebody. He's been around for a little while, but he's still relatively new, and that is Mike Birbiglia. He's a storyteller, kind of along the lines of actually Ray Romano, even Jerry Seinfeld to a certain extent. They're kind of storytellers. They're not necessarily one-liners. So Mike Birbiglia is hysterical. He is so good at the stories that he tells about his life. And at one point in his early career, he used to see a jackal in his room. He had this disorder, and he's just really, really funny and really gentle. He talks about his first kiss when he was a kid. He had never kissed anybody before, and they were on the dance floor during this what he called a cattle call, and he got the last cow in the cattle call, and he's really funny. Number 4 for me would be George Carlin. He has just always been a staple in my comedy. I love him. I love the fact that he was brutally honest about things. Number 3 for me will always be Robin. Well, actually, Robin Williams. He could be even higher, but I love him. And I forgot to put Bette Midler on here. She did one of my very favorite comedy albums called Mud Will Be Flung. It was hysterical. She had this the one line, and I repeat it all the time. It's really kind of gross, but she was talking about I was partying with this band, a famous band, and they had this saying, "No muff, too tough. Ugly women have pussies too." And oh my God, seriously, that album is hysterical. But Robin Williams, his comedy is very fast, very manic, but usually hysterical, and he could kind of go on the vulgar side as well. But I miss him. He was one of my favorite actors as well. Number 2 for me is Kathy Griffin. I have loved her since the very first time I ever saw her. I've seen her numerous times in concert. I love the fact that she has opinions, and she's not afraid to say them, no matter who it is. So, always loved her. She's very feisty. She's actually from Illinois, so a little bit of a connection there. And my number 1 will always, always, always be Joan Rivers. She was around when my mom was still alive. My mom would get a kick out of some of the things she'd say. But I always just loved her. She was very real, and then after her husband committed suicide and she lost everything, she came back. So she's a true inspiration. And the fact that she died the day before my birthday, that was hard. It was hard for me because I truly did love her. But I have some of most. I think I have all of her comedy albums, and anything that she's put out on DVD or Blu-ray, as well as the movie she made with her daughter about her husband's suicide. So yeah, so that's it. Joan Rivers would be my first, number one in my heart always. All right, Jen, I hope you enjoy this, and thank you for tagging me. I really had a good time with this. I have SiriusXM just mainly for the comedy channels, except for it would have been easier for me to list the ones I don't like. Um, Larry the Cable Guy, Tim Allen, Roseanne Barr. It would have been easier just to say these are the comedians I don't like. But yeah, I have SiriusXM just for the comedy channels, except of course for the Larry the Cable Guy channel. I don't have that pre-tuned, but that and the 80s channel, and I'm a happy boy. All right, guys, take care. Thanks. Bye.